Howdy, I'm Derek, and for this episode of Lambda of the Week, we're covering a custom Excel Lambda function called unpivot data. If you're not familiar with the concept of Lambda in Excel, please look at the video previewing this entire series with the link in the comments below. To get a copy of this workbook containing this Lambda for the week, as well as a few others, there's a link in the comments below for that. And even better, if you want a copy of the Lambda library that I use with 70 plus custom functions and examples of all of them, there's a link in the comments below for that as well. So this week, it's unpivot data. This is by far the most intricate Lambda I have ever built, but wow, is it powerful and helpful. So what this does is it takes pivoted data, kind of like you're seeing here in the bottom. So a lot of times you'll have data that is repeated a monthly trend. So there's different months as columns, or maybe it's scenarios like actual and budget or locations or whatever. And you have data points below, and you basically want to take it from being stacked side by side to stacked up and down. Okay, that's a tricky thing to do. Now you can do it with Power Query, you can do it with macros, but when you use dynamic spilling functions, it is dynamic. It will update with your data, so it's pretty cool. So how this works, and I've already got it kind of built out here, okay, we're going to refer to the data. So there's that entire data source down there after, of course, we type in L_unpivot data. And then we're going to say how many header rows are there. Okay, so two rows. We've got actual budget and we've got the periods. How many header columns are there to the left of that data? Well, in this case, we have account and we have description. Okay, and then optionally, you can give header values to the new headers that are going to be created. Otherwise, these are just going to be blank. So you can put those in the curly braces because those are going to give you an array of values. You can refer to the values if you want. I usually just plug them in there. And what it does is this entire thing is going to be processed using that. So it can calculate a variable number of column headers, row headers, and then give those as well. And it will process giving you both the headers at the top as well as all that unpivoted data. It's basically a giant copy-paste exercise is what this is doing behind the scenes. But notice how the actual budget and the periods are their own distinct columns, and then the value is there. Unpivoting is powerful because it lets you do filtering and sorting and all kinds of functions and pivot tables and stuff on that data, reshaping it. So if you ever get data that looks like this, unpivot is your friend. That's it for this week, for this episode of Lambda of the Week. Remember, you can get a copy of this one, and I'm telling you, this took me over 10 hours to build and refine over the years, so well worth it. You get a copy of this one and a few others using a link in the comments below, or even better, this one and dozens of others in the full Lambda library that I use with examples of each of those. And it's going to cover all the ones that we'll look at this entire year for this series. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Tell us what you like in the comments. Share with a friend or somebody you think would enjoy this. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss out on other awesome Excel tips and tricks, including the rest of this weekly series throughout 2026. Thanks for watching and have an excellent rest of your day.